Alright guys, this is the continuation now that we have finished this part of the theory of what type of products are out there for you to be aware of. Now we're going to get into the application and the styles and how to manipulate the hair to create the fans, to create your volume. Okay, and then that takes us into our application, our mapping and our application. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this here. Now, keeping in mind, obviously, and take into consideration everything that we've learned before, the length and the diameter. Okay, now we're going to move on to our lash styles. Okay, so our lash styles. This is very important because you can customize your look for your client according to what the client is looking for or wanting. Okay. There are so many different ways to do this. There are so many different, I guess you can say, techniques, methods, verbiage. Brands do certain number of fibers with fans, things of the sort. So I'm going to show you three. I'm going to go from basic to complex, which is not really complex after you get the hang of it, but I'm going to show you three. And then once we do the theory part of it, then we'll do the hands-on. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start off, okay, first with our showing you the idea of what the fans are. Okay, so this obviously, and we've done this already, is our lash tabbing product, right? So you have a little cluster, okay, of lashes that are stuck together at the base by a little bead of glue adhesive, okay, and the fan at the tip, right, the way that the lashes fan out, that's why it's called the fan, because it looks like a fan, from right to left, right? This particular is a flare, long black, so the fan is the flare, okay? And just like our lash tabbing application, at the tip it creates the V, and it to space it out, the tips touch at that point, okay? So when you're doing these are lash tabbing products, lash tabbing fibers. Okay, they're the clusters. With the lash extensions to create a look or a style or volume or the drama in the eyes, you create fans from the multiple single individual fibers, create the fan, and apply to the client so that they have that voluminous look that they're going for according to the style you and they chose. Okay, so in essence, we're taking individual hairs, fibers, lashes, and we're going to make these. Then this is what we're going to apply on the client. Okay, so this is what we're making pretty much. All right. So here we go. So our lash styles, we're going to start very, very basic, okay? We are going to do, and I'm just going to, it's 3 sections, okay? So make sure you give yourself plenty of space, and if you need to flip the page, it's okay too. Okay. A classic, okay, old school, traditional, basic, one-on-one, different people call it different things, different brands call them different things, okay, but the classic style is one fiber on one lash, one natural lash, meaning that you take one fake lash and put it on one real lash. That's the classic style, okay? Now, when you start getting into volumes and the cat eye and the There's just different, they call them all different names, okay, according to the brand or the salon or the stylist that's doing it, okay. Once you get into creating volume, okay, you give the fans a name, okay, and here we're going to start with our basic names. So we have the narrow, we have our volume, fan, and then we have our fluffy. Okay, our narrow, our volume, and our fluffy. Put my markers over here so my arm doesn't come out in the video, okay? So our narrow fan, okay, or flare, again, it depends on what you want to call it. Okay, the narrow fan is going to have 3 fibers. Okay, the volume fan is going to have 5 fibers, lashes, whatever you want to call them. And the fluffy fan is going to have 8 to 10 fibers. Okay. Now let me show you a different manufacturer way of this exact thing that we're doing here. How they do their fans. Okay, this is one brand. I'm going to show you another brand. So we have what they call the narrow fan. This particular brand calls it a closed fan. Okay. And with this closed fan, you have 4 fibers, and it looks more like this. It's closed. Hardly any opening between your lashes. Then you have your narrow fan, okay, which has 6 fibers, and this one is 6, 3, okay. They're close together, but there's 3 on one side and 3 on the other, but they're close together. That's your narrow fan. Okay. And then you have your wide fan that only has 5 fibers, but there's 1 fiber in the middle, 1 on this, 2 on each side, and they really fan out. Lots of space in between those individual fibers. So this is a second company's way of doing their fans or flares, whatever you want to call it. Again, like I said, one company, one brand. This is a second company or second brand. I'm going to show you a third company, okay, or a third brand, or a third service provider. They call them lash stylists. Okay, so either one works fine. Okay, you as a student, you want to learn as much as you can from everyone and anyone. Then you want to study the information that you learned. You want to take it, practice it, study it, revise it, learn from it. And then you want to take all that information and then take and keep and use what works for you, what you like. And then just put the rest to the side. Either you throw it out, you forget about it, you put it to the side for safekeeping, or you come back to it later when you encounter an issue, or it's what you chose and are doing is not working for you. You go back into your education booklet or journal, or I have this big old journal with all my notes from all my classes that I go to, and I always go back to it. But you go back to that and see, okay, well, this isn't working. What else have I learned that I can now use? Okay, so 3 ways of doing the same thing. Very similar, but gives you Same, but just different way, different technique. Okay, so here we have our classic set. With our classic set, okay, one fiber on one lash. Okay, we are going to use the 0.10 millimeter to the 0.20 millimeter, but more commonly is the 0.10 to the 0.15. The 20 might be a little long, a little thick, so maybe not good for the classic. This is just for a client that's first time, doesn't want anything too crazy dramatic. They're just very natural looking, okay? Then you have your volume set, okay? So with your volume set, okay, you're going to use 2 to 5 fibers per one lash. So here I used one fiber on one natural lash, and I should have put here natural. One fake lash over one natural lash. Here is on the volume set is 2 to 5 fake lashes on top of one natural lash. One real lash. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. Okay. So here I have let me do it this way. Here I have my real lash, my classic set. One fiber on one lash. This is my real lash. I'm going to take one fake lash and I'm going to put it on top of, I'm going to glue it on top of a real lash. That's it. One fake over one real. Okay? On the volume set, you're going to take 2 to 5, so I'm just going to use 3 fibers. You're going to make a fan. Remember that we are making these. So 2 to 5, I'm going to use 3. And these 3 go over one natural lash. So while this is in a flare, well, how am I going to hold this? These 3 are going to get glued on top of one natural lash. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. And then our next one, okay, our last one, I guess you can say, that we're going to cover, there's so many more, but just we're going to cover this, is the mega volume set. Okay, our mega volume set, now this is like legit crazy a lot, right? You're going to take 6 to 16 fibers, okay, on one lash. Oh, I did it again, natural. One natural lash. Okay, on that one, oh dang it, my apologies, hang on, what did I do? I didn't do this, let me go back. Okay, so, okay, I'm gonna have to write this down here. My apologies, I forgot to give you the measurements. Okay, let me go with the mega. I'm gonna come back in the volume in a second, that was totally my fault. The mega volume set, okay, 6 to 16 fake lashes on one real lash. You use the 0.03 to or the 0.05 because there's not an in between. Okay. So preferably because you're using 16 fake lashes on one natural lash because of the heaviness, I would use the 0.03, just personally. And from the class that I took, that's what I was taught, okay? And that just makes more sense because there's so many more fibers on one real lash, okay? Let me backtrack, and my apologies. I'm going to go ahead and give you this, the numbers for this one down here, and that's supposed to go there. That's my fault, okay? So for your volume set, okay, I would use 2 to 5. That's either a 0.03 to 0.07. Okay. Now, the way that they do this particular vol, the 2 to 5, it's either, it goes by, or it's known as a 2D. So this is 2D. This is 3D. This is 4D, and this is 5D. Okay. So 2 fake lashes, 3 fake lashes, 4 fake lashes, 5 fake lashes. Now, did you notice how I drew them? When it's 2, it's even, symmetrical down the middle, right? 1 fiber on each side. 3D, there's 1 down the middle and then 1 on both sides. 4D, 2 and 2. And 5D is 1 in the middle and 2 on both sides. Okay, so my apologies, that was supposed to go underneath the volume set. Okay, so a little bit of volume, 2D. A lot of volume, 5D. Okay. All right. Now, let me show you, okay, really quick. Let me just put this over really here, real fast. So the classic set, you have 1 fiber, 1 real lash, and you're going to put 1 fake lash on top. And that's your extension, right? That's the classic. The volume set, you have 1 real lash and either 2 fake lashes, 3D, 3 lash fibers, 4D, or 5D, right? 1 in the middle and 2 on either side. 5 lashes on 5 fibers on 1 lash, okay? Now the mega volume has 6 fibers on 1 lash, right? You make your fan, make it symmetrical. Or 16. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. Do you see how that's a mega volume? Do you see how that's a lot of weight? Now I know these are markers, but I'm doing a, comparison per se. Or an example. 1 natural lash has to support 16 false lashes, which is why it's very important, very, very important that if you're going to do the mega volume set on that client that just wants 16 fibers and really wants that, bam, here I am, okay, that you use the 0.03 or 0.05, preferably the 0.03 mm, because, let's check out our diameter. This is why knowledge is power, right? Because if you use anything over that, it's too thick and too heavy. Imagine, this is my 1 natural lash, and imagine these were the dry erase markers instead of these skinny markers. Imagine how crazy that would look. 16 dry erase markers over the skinny. Or imagine this is imagine this. See how thick that is compared to this? This is the 0.03. This is the 0.20. Imagine 16. You saw 16 of these. Imagine 16 of these on one line. It doesn't work. No way. So that is why it is so important to understand the theory behind your service so that you can better serve your client. Okay. Also, too, that much weight will damage the client's eyelash. Okay, definitely will make everything droop and will mess with the growth of the hair. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure, choose the appropriate fan for the set, that's the style that they want, and making sure that you choose the appropriate diameter and length for your client. Okay, according to their desire and their natural lash. All right, so those are our notes for the lash style. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to create these fans. Okay, so keep this to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and do the hands-on, and then you should be good for today. And then tomorrow we're going to go over the looks of what, or how to apply certain styles on the eye. We're going to do our mapping, and then we're going to do our application and our removal and care. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, let's go ahead and go over what we're going to be using. Of course, we have our notes. What we're going to do is we're going to create our fans, or what they call also the flares. We're going to go with the volume set, the 2 to 5 to start with. You're going to do 2D, 3D, 4D, and 5D fans. Okay. These two techniques, or these particular ones from the other brands, are good to be able to do. Okay, but we're going to focus on this one here. Okay, just to get started. You can always come back at a later time and practice these. Definitely great to do, but we're sticking with this. As far as the size, we're going to stick with what we had available. I honestly can't tell you what size you have in your kit. Everybody has different sizes. So if I told you, oh, you have the 0.7, maybe you don't. Maybe you have the 0.5 or the 0.8, or who knows, because I just cut them up and divided them between everybody. So I apologize that I did not write down what your size was. Okay. If you didn't see in this little Dixie cup where you've been saving all your lashes that you've been cutting up and using, great to do, so you can have fibers to practice with. But you should have a little strip like this, and it's actual lashes. Okay, and it's double-sided sticky, so it's sticky on one side, but I put it in the cup so it wouldn't get messed up. So you need your cup. You don't need these are just an example. This is what your final result should look like, except for it should either have 2 strands, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. Spoolie or mascara 1. You have your lash glue. You have your glue sticker. You have, and then tweezers, I said, yes? Okay, so those are the for sure essentials that you need. Okay, now as far as what you're going to use to place your lashes on is it varies. There's different things you can use. You can use a mannequin if you want to use a mannequin. As far as placing them down, you can use a sponge. You can cut up a latex sponge, like a regular makeup wedge, and you can just cut the tip like an eyelid shape, and you can lay your lashes down here. That was just the tip I cut. You can take a false lash a tray, and you can use the curvature there. You can use it on its own. You can stick it on the little cardboard, which we'll be working on this tomorrow, or you can stick it on the skin with tape, or you can just use the actual skin. Okay, you can even cut the corner edge here, so on your skin if you wanted to. I would draw it out first so it comes out really nice, but you can cut this like so to mimic the curvature of the eyelid, right? And then you can place your lashes here. So that's for the application part, okay? Now, as far as for when you're gluing it on with a glue, okay? As far as for creating your fan, okay, what we're going to need is your stick card. If you don't have your stick card, no worries. You can just take a little cardboard or the skin and put double-sided sticky tape, and then that works just fine. Because with our stick card, what we're doing is using our double-sided sticky tape on the stick card so that the lashes will stick on there. That's all we're doing, okay? All right, same thing with our strip of lashes. If this double sticky is no good anymore, then you can just lay down a double-sided sticky tape on your card, put this over, and it works. Same thing, you can do it on here, okay? So it's up to you how you want to do it. One more tool I want to show you that I know is not in your kit, but this little ring that we talked about and the extra supplies where the glue goes here and then here goes the lash. You put your double-sided sticky tape here and then you put your lashes here. It fans them out because it's curved, so it's a lot easier to grab. And if you can see there, I know it's difficult, the camera's not the best. But when it curves it, it fans the lashes out, so it makes it a whole lot easier to grab those lashes. So if you ever run across this little tool from Amazon or from a beauty supply store, I definitely would grab one of those, okay? They are reusable, so good to know. All right, so what we're going to be using, since you have it, is your stick card. I already went ahead and put my double-sided sticky tape. And guys, when you run out of this tape, don't worry. Just double-sided sticky tape from the dollar store. It works just fine. All right, so what we're going to do here, what I did is I laid down a little sticky. Let me get that little extra plastic off from the top. It's the only thing I don't like about this particular sticky tape. Okay, so I got my stick here, not touching it with my finger so it doesn't, my oils don't get on it and then it loses its stick. But I'm going to take my strip of my lash and I'm going to apply it on here. And I'm going to use the back of my tweezers to push down so that the oils on my fingers don't get on my lashes. I don't want my oils on my fingers to transfer over and then it messes with the glue, okay? So I'm just gonna go over it, okay? And what I can do is I can take my mascara wand, my spoolie, and I'm just gonna brush them. So here's my lash, okay? I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna brush them like so. Okay, so I'm gonna roll or rotate to break them up, okay? I can also go from one end and go across this way and brush them, just kind of fan and flare them and go the opposite direction so that if there's any extra glue or adhesive that's kind of making them stick together, that they will separate. Another thing that you can do is you can take your tweezer and you can come from behind and also pull them or you know, kind of glide this across to make sure that you're creating the same thing and lifting apart any or pulling apart anything that's stuck, okay? So down here I went ahead and added, okay, now I'm working far, you can work, you know, right underneath, it's totally up to you, or above, it's up to you. But I put a another double-sided stick tape here at the bottom, and this is where I'm going to work, okay? So I'm going to, if I were to be practicing, not on here, right, on my application, I put down some glue on my sticker, then, okay, so let me back up. I'm going to work, let's say that I'm going to use this, right, since everybody has this. Let's pretend that there's glue on here already. If I'm going to work, you don't need this anymore. If I'm going to work, okay, to practice the whole thing from creating my fan to application, I'm going to start off by taking from my strip, I'm going to come down on my double-sided sticky tape and I'm going to flare it, whether it be 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, or whichever flare I'm creating. Once I've got my flare looking like the way I want it, looking like this. Then I'm going to grab it from there, dip it into my glue, and drop it down onto my client, or drop it down onto my mannequin skin or my sponge or wherever my tray, wherever I'm going to practice on. Okay. First, we're going to create our flares. All right. So I don't have the steadiest hand, and when I get too focused, I do start to shake a little bit, so I apologize. And then if I get too close, you kind of can't really see. So I'm going to try to explain as best as possible. So if we're doing, so we're going to start off and we're going to do the 1-on-1, the classic, okay? 1 fiber on 1 lash. So you're going to come in with your tweezer, and on the you take your tweezer and come in from behind with one part of the tweezer, one side like this, and comb it, and then you're going to stop at the very last lash, which should be the single lash. You're going to clamp, and then you're going to pull. I pulled that wrong, sorry. You're going to clamp and you're going to pull towards you. Pull toward you this way. Okay? This way upwards. When you clamp it, you don't want to squeeze your hand too crazy hard, because then you're going to bend it. So if I were to let that go, whoop, I lost it. There it goes. There's a big bend. I think that was it. I'm not sure. There's a big bend on it. Okay? So you want to be gentle with your tweezers. Okay? Alright. If your tweezers don't close correctly, see, like for example these tweezers right here, see how they close on the tip but they don't close back here is a big gap? These are not the best tweezers. I think these are, I can't remember if these are my good ones or my not. I don't think these are my good ones. But you want to make sure that they close all the way, okay? So you can have a good grasp. Like you don't want to just grab with the tip. You want to grab with the entire flat surface on both sides of the tweezer. So you're going to come in from behind. You're going to flare, kind of just fan it out a little bit. Let them separate. Find the last lash, the one single lash, only one, and then clamp it and then bring it up and towards you. Okay. Once you have your one lash, okay, then you're going to put it down on your double-sided stick tape and let go. Okay. So there you have your one lash. That is the classic 1 fiber on 1 natural lash. Okay. Now we're going to do that's pretty easy. You can practice a whole row of that should you choose. Okay. Now what we're going to do, which the day you practice with some of your spacing, but the brain fart, the clusters. Alright, so then now let's practice a 2D. Okay, so now we're going to come in. We're going to take our tweezer behind our strip, okay, and you're going to fan. You're going to kind of, when I say fan, I'm going sideways like this to kind of separate the lashes, and then I'm going to stop at the last two. I'm going to pull up and towards me. I'm going to space it out, and I'm going to put it on my, double-sided my glue. And this is going to be really hard to see, but you're going to use the tip of your tweezer and you're going to roll the two, I don't know if you can see that. You can see that better there. See how there's one here, one here? You're going to use the tip of the tweezer and you're going to roll at where the glue is, and you're going to be looking at the tip of the lash to make sure that you like the space in between. Push them together, roll them, and once you have the flare that you're looking for, that you like, then you are good to go there. Okay, so there's my flare, and that's 2. And again, I know, I'm sorry, it's hard to see. Okay, alright, so now I want to do my 3D. 1 lash in the middle and 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Alright, so then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to grab 3 lashes. And this is the hard part. So I have 3 lashes. Once I'm good and I have them all 3, I'm going to clamp and pull up and out and away towards me. I'm going to put this one in the middle because there's 5, right? So I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm going to drop it down. Whoops, my lash separated. Put that back. Okay, and I'm going to use my tweezer. I'm going to push down where the glue is, and then I'm going to push where the glue is, and I'm going to roll. I'm going to push and rock or slide towards the right and slide towards the left to have my flares to fan them out. And I'm looking at the tip of the fiber of the lash for the flare. Okay, so I'm not separating from the top, I'm separating from the base. So I'm pushing and manipulating my flare. So there, and it's very hard to see, one down the middle and one on either side. Okay, it's very close. If you want it more spread apart, you're welcome to flare it out some more. It's totally up to you. Okay, and of course, how much volume you're wanting to, how wide you want the flare to be. Okay, closed fan, a narrow fan, or a wide fan is just the different amount of lashes that are in that fan. Okay, now let's do the 4D. So we're going to come back here and we're going to pick up 4 lashes. Once you have them, give them a good grip, pull, and then you're going to put those down. And actually, I think I grabbed 5. Sure did. Okay, and I just let go wrong. So, oh no, I didn't. I had, well, okay, let me do that again because I actually had 4 and I thought I had 5 and I pulled it and it wasn't, and it was actually perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab 4. Okay, and you're going to put that down on the glue, on the double-sided stick tape. You're going to push it down, and then you're going to roll to the right and roll to the left. You're going to look at the tip of the lash. You're not rolling and separating from the tip. You're rolling and separating from the base, but you're looking at the tip, at the flare of how wide it's flaring out and how separate each individual lash is from each other. Okay, so just give it a little tap. And once you're happy with the symmetry and the flare and how 2 are going to the right and 2 are going to the left, and it's even on both sides, then you can move on. I don't know if you can't, it's really hard to see on the camera 4 lashes there. They're so thin. I'm thinking these are could be the 3s. Okay, so from here, now we're going to do our 5D. 1 down the middle, 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and come on in, and we're going to find our 5 lashes. And then obviously closer you are to getting your speed down and being really good at this. Oops, I only got 4. Let me go back and grab one more. The better you are, the closer you are at perfecting your skill. Obviously, you eyeball things at times. So maybe you're going for 5, but you accidentally do 6. And that's okay. Okay, that's totally okay. As long as it's not supposed to be like 2 and you do like 10. Then that's not what you're going for. Alright, so then you want to gently, 1 in the middle, 1 to the right, 2 to the right, 2 to the left. You want to roll once you're happy with how wide it is. Again, a closed, narrow, or wide fan. You already have the amount of fibers or lashes in each cluster. Once you have that and you're happy with it, then you're done. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be good to take a picture of to put in your PowerPoint for your portfolio submission. So your notes and then your fans. Okay. So there you go. Now what I would do is I would practice doing my 2D to 5D flares. Okay. either a closed, narrow, or wide fan with each of these, the J curl, the D curl, all those, with all of the lengths and all of the diameters for practice, okay? So that definitely, so you can, see what the difference is in a narrow fan of a 2D with a size 0.20 length and a 0.03 diameter, okay? Definitely will take you a long time, but definitely doable. Okay, let's go ahead and take our sticker with our glue. I just kind of squeeze it to shake it up a little bit in these. I find sometimes that's kind of watery at the tip, okay? I usually just remove any gunk that may have collected that clogs my glue. I'm going to drop down a bead of glue. It's a very small bead of glue. I always wipe my tip before I close it so it doesn't seal and get stuck. So glue. The glue will cure, okay, with the air once the air starts to hit it. So the glue, okay, let me see here. Okay. Now this is a sticker, okay, so obviously you can peel this. Oops, I just peeled the paper. I should have peeled it first. So you can stick the glue, sorry, okay, I totally should have done this before putting the glue on. You can stick the sticker on you, like so, okay, and then put the glue on. You can stick the sticker anywhere you want, and then put the glue on, okay? All right, so the glue cures. So when the air hits it, it starts to dry up, and it will cure faster on the outskirts of the drop because it's thinner. So whenever you're going to take a lash and you're going to dip it in the glue, you want to dip it in the middle of the glue, and you want to dip only 1 millimeter. So think about it. Let's just say that this is the 3 millimeter and it's 1 lash in thickness. Think of what a 1 millimeter is. So you barely want to dip the tip of the lash into the glue 1 millimeter. It takes a little bit of glue, just a little bit of glue, okay? So just keep that in mind. The glue cures, so dip it not on the outside, dip it in the middle. Drop out or empty out a little bead of glue at a time because it dries pretty fast, okay? And you want to make sure that if you dip in too far into the glue and get too much glue on the lash, just throw that lash away and grab a new one and start over. You can wipe off the excess glue on a non-cotton type of wipe, okay? You don't want anything that has little fuzzies or fibers because it'll get stuck on it, and then the client will have that until that lash falls out, okay? It'll be stuck on them. So take that into consideration. It's not worth it. Just throw it away and just start fresh, okay? If whenever you pick up your cluster, your fan, or your flare, and then the base or the tip separates, don't panic. Don't let go of the flare. Just dip it in the glue, and you're gonna notice the glue's gonna do this, and it'll come back together. And I just dropped my glue. Good job. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're working with your glue. All right. All right. So after you've created your flares, okay, and you got to work on those micro movements. I mean, when I say micro, I mean very small little movements to make the flare. So we're going to go ahead and place it on our skin. So let's start with our 1 lash. And I'm going to dip it into my glue. And I'm going to apply it on the tip of my skin here. Okay, and you're not going to be able to see that. Who am I kidding? Let me see if you can even see it. Can you see the 1 lash? You can see it right there. Okay, so that's my 1 lash. Then I'm going to grab my, I guess I had 2 lashes on this. I'm going to grab my second flare right at the base. I'm going to squeeze it, but not too hard. Make sure I got it good. Let it go. Or not let it go. Pull it from the paper, dip it in my glue, and I'm going to apply on my skin, my face skin. So then there is my second fan. I'm going to continue. I'm going to pick up, and then the angle of the, I'm working on a flat surface here, so I got to change my position. But the angle of how you pick up your, or how you move your wrist is very important. No, I squeezed that one way too much. Okay. So I've got my third flare there. And it's just really hard to see with this camera, and that's my fault. My apologies for having a cheapy little camera. I'll try to get my good camera set up. Oop, I took one out. And put that back on there. And so you just definitely have to be patient with yourself. Be patient with your hand, your fingers. It's definitely not for, this is not a service or a job for someone that is impatient, that just wants it done quickly and now, and it's just, you have to have patience for it. Definitely have to have patience for it. Okay. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you have it. Okay. The glue you can throw away, no big deal. And obviously this is just one application of the 2 to 5D flares. Okay. Imagine the whole lash line right here. Pretend that's the lash line. Imagine all of it filled from left to right or right to left. Okay. So that's what I want you to practice. Okay, practice manipulating as far as removing and picking up the correct number of lashes. Practice setting it down and doing your micro movements and taking the lashes and flaring them out. And then practice taking it from your stick card or your double-sided sticky tape into your glue onto your skin, your practice skin, or you can do a let's do, if I'm going to do my two, see if I can pull it off here. If I'm going to do a sponge like that, let me see, can you see it? Oh, am I kidding? You can't see it. Can you see that? A little bit right there. Okay, so you can do a latex sponge. Okay, just trim the top. You can do a round sponge like this because it has the curvature of an eye, or the flatter side. You can cut a piece of paper, a piece of cardboard, that's fine too. You can do the tray, you can glue them on here. When you're using the glue, sometimes on plastic it just takes a little bit longer to adhere, so just keep in mind. The better one to use is the foam, the latex sponges is the best to adhere to. And so you definitely, if you have your mannequin head, you can definitely practice and glue them on here as well. Okay. All right. So that is what I have for you today. I appreciate you sticking with me through your classroom time, 45 minutes. And then I know this is about 50 minutes long to do this. We always run out of time. There's never enough time in my class for everything that I want to share with you. And I don't want to just kind of share a little bit. I want to teach you everything. So that's why we're always rushing in class to get started and get going, and then we're always rushing out the door, and then always running behind just because there's so much for you guys to learn. But anyway, I just want to share this with you. If this is something that really interests you and you really like it, this is just the beginning and basics. Really get out there and, get educated, do it right. Know the foundation, the anatomy, all the consultation, all those little pieces to the puzzle so that you can be the best that you possibly can be for your clients, and obviously for yourself and your brand or your salon. But anyway, so good luck with it. Work on your steady hand. After a while, your hand's going to hurt just because you're so tense. Don't forget to relax your hand. You don't have to be gripping it, just relax it and give your hand, some breaks and stretch and, kind of pull. Now the color journal that you guys got at the beginning of the school year with you coloring the small little designs and stuff helps with the fluidity in your hand, the balance, the steadiness, staying within the lines. All of that with the coloring journal that I gave you to work on, it helps with all of this because you're working on very, very small sections when you're coloring. So here you're working with very small fibers and placing them and being very meticulous and strategic. So you definitely want to keep that in mind and continue working your hand and coloring in that color journal to get your muscles prepared for all of this awesomeness that you'll be able to do. All right, well, thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow for mapping and going over some styles and then our actual application. All right, you guys have a good one.